All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Team Kentucky Education and Labor Cabinet web training on the ITA record keeping changes. Just a little bit of housekeeping here real fast. Our training courses are designed to assist you in complying with the occupational safety and health regulations. Because of the variations that can occur due to on-site conditions or performance criteria, it is impossible for any course to cover every aspect of those potential variations. Therefore, this course does not cover everything a person should know about a particular subject, nor does it qualify anyone as competent or qualified. However, our courses do cover part of the information that any person must know to be effective in applying safety and health standards and work practices to circumstances in the workplace. A couple of other things with our training. We will be performing a Q&A at the end of the training session when we've concluded everything. If you do have questions as we go through the presentation, please type them into the chat box, and then we'll go through those when we're done with everything. Everybody is currently muted, and please keep your videos off. So here is briefly what we will be discussing. We'll cover what the OSHA ITA is, who it applies to, what is changing, why these changes are occurring, when the changes are going to go into effect, and talk about any applicable due dates. So what is the OSHA ITA? The OSHA ITA is the federal OSHA online injury tracking application. It's specifically designed for high hazard industries and large employers to submit their annual 300A summaries via the online application. So who does this apply to and how does it apply to me? This is where it gets a little bit challenging. So the easiest way that I can explain the applicability of the injury tracking application is to actually navigate to the website. And again, in case you guys missed it in the chat box, we are in the process of recording this entire presentation, and it'll be posted to our website shortly after the presentation is done for reference. But back to the presentation. If you go to the website, right here in this first little yellow box is where I recommend each employer starts. This box tells you who does not have to submit their information via the injury tracking application. So as an employer, my recommendation is just work your way through each of these bullet points. The first one being that the establishment's peak employment during the previous calendar year was 19 or fewer. Keep in mind a couple of things with these statements. One, we are talking about establishment level. So if you think about as a corporation, maybe you're a retail corporation, and you've got 4 or 5 big box retail stores. The establishment is each unique individual store. And we're talking about the peak employment at each store for the calendar year. So if that was 19 or fewer, that specific establishment does not have to submit the 300A summaries to the injury tracking application. The next one is, if your establishment is listed on Appendix A to Subpart B of the OSHA record keeping regulation, you don't have to submit it. So what is Appendix A to Subpart B? Click on the link. It'll populate a list of NAICS codes for you. You just match up what your establishment's NAICS code is to the NAICS codes on this list. And if your first 4 digits match up with any of these first 4 digits, that industry, that unique establishment, is partially exempt to the OSHA record keeping standard. And because you're partially exempt to the record keeping standard, you are also partially exempt from having to submit your 300A summaries to the OSHA ITA. And then the last bullet is the establishment had a peak employment between 20 and 249 employees, and they are not listed on Appendix A to Subpart E. So let's take a look at that appendix. If you pull up that appendix list, all of these industries that are listed here, it's similar to the other one, but you look at it the opposite way. Compare your establishment's NAICS code with the NAICS codes here, if yours is not listed on this list and you have between 20 and 249 employees, you don't have to submit an OSHA 300A summary via the injury tracking application. So I know I went through that kind of quick. So just to recap the 3 exemptions. If the establishment had 19 or fewer employees at all times during the calendar year, you do not have to submit your 300A summary. If your establishment is on Appendix A to Subpart B, that establishment is partially exempt to the record keeping standard, and you do not have to submit the 300A summary. And finally, if you have between 20 and 249 employees in your establishment, and your NAICS is not listed on Appendix A to Subpart E, you don't have to submit the summary. So it's kind of confusing the way that they publish all the people that don't have to submit the summaries, because this is very specific for the injury tracking application. So who does have to submit them? Any establishment who has 250 or more employees that is not partially exempt to the record keeping standard, and any establishment that has between 20 and 249 employees that is listed on Appendix A to Subpart E. So if you pull that up and your NAICS is listed on this appendix, let's say that you do vending machine operations, and that's the first 4 digits of your NAICS, and you have between 20 and 249 employees, you do have to submit your 300A via the tracking application. So that's all been standard. We've been doing the ITA process since around 2017, and this is the way that it has been. So no changes have occurred with any of this stuff. I just wanted to make sure we were all clear on what that expectation has been. So what is changing? What's changing is they created a new appendix. Appendix B to Subpart E has been added to the record keeping standard. And it's another list of those NAICS codes with industries. So if you pull that up, you can see here there's the first 4 digits of a bunch of different industries. You compare your NAICS code to this list, and if you're on this list and you have 100 or more employees in your establishment, not only are you going to have to submit your 300A summary log like you have been doing, you're also going to have to submit some additional information from your 301 and 300 logs. That's the piece of the puzzle that's changing. So why are these changes occurring? There's a plethora of reasons why that's changing. One is to improve data quality. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics and OSHA are trying to get more information about these high hazard industries and what's going on in them that's driving up injury and illness numbers, so they can take more effective action in helping to drive down the injuries and illnesses there. They're also going to be publishing this information on a public-facing website so it can be used by the public. So prospective employees can go in and research companies that are in the same industry and have an idea of what their workplace safety and health culture is like. And it allows groups like us in order to perform targeted outreach efforts for people in these industries that have high injuries and illnesses to help them create safer and healthier work environments. That's a lot of the reasons why these requirements have been added to the standard at the federal level. So when do these changes go into effect? They go into effect January 1st. So if you are one of the companies whose industry is on that new Appendix B, and you had 100 or more employees in your establishment through this past year of 2023, you will be required this coming year to submit not only your 300As, but your 301s and some 300 data as well. It's going to fall in line with the way that the 300A summaries have been going for the past several years. So beginning January 6th, the submission process will be opened up on the website, and all of the data, your 300As and anybody that's required to do the 301s and 300s will have to be submitted by March 2nd. So here's just a little side-by-side reference of the changes. You can see what currently is required is establishments with 250 or more employees, and that is peak employment. All of this is peak employment at the establishment level. Any establishment with 250 or more employees that is not partially exempt to the OSHA record keeping standard has had to submit their 300As. Establishments with 20 to 249 with designated industries on Appendix A had to submit their 300As. And these establishments with 100 or more for Appendix B have also had to submit their 300As. Appendix B is just Appendix A, but they drill down a little bit deeper in the NAICS codes because as you add the numbers on the NAICS codes, it becomes more specific in that broad industry. So all of that stuff is the same. There's been no changes to Appendix A, and there were no legal name requirements. What is going to change effective January 1st is those establishments that are listed on the new Appendix B that was created are going to have to submit some information from the 301s and the 300 logs. And then those individual establishments will also have to include the legal name of that establishment when they do these submissions going forward. So that's just a brief side-by-side of the changes. It's nothing major. Some establishments, it should be very few, are just going to have to add a little bit more information into their annual submissions than what they're accustomed to. So where can you get help? This is a federal OSHA injury tracking application. And here in Kentucky, since we're a state plan, we're very limited on what we can assist with, especially on the technical aspect. So snap a pic of this or come back to the web recording when we post it. I recommend going to this website here for any questions that you have related to the ITA process. It is extremely helpful. If you go to the website, you'll be able to launch the application. They have a great FAQ section. It'll show you things on how you create the account. If you have questions about your NAICS code to make sure that you're properly identifying yourself with the appropriate code, how to handle CSV files, and technical issues. Also, if you go to the FAQ and you have questions that there aren't answers to on here, you can go to the help request form on the left-hand side, and you can submit your specific question to them, and they'll be able to assist you with that. So that is the most beneficial resource related to this tracking application that's out there that I've found to date. So that's it in a nutshell as far as what the changes are this coming year. Please take the time to visit us at kentuckysafe.ky.gov. In addition to doing trainings, we offer a lot of other free and confidential resources to employers throughout the Commonwealth. As far as on-site training, online training, we do mock compliance inspections to help you guys ensure that you're compliant with OSHA standards. But check us out. Reach out to us anytime. Like I said, we're a free resource for employees and employers across the Commonwealth, and we're here to help you. So thank you again for your time. And if you have any questions, please type those in chat and we'll be happy to answer those. Okay, Mr. Goodman, where can we find our NAICS code? That is a good question. Oops, let me get back over here. Boop. If it will load. So you can find it several different ways. You can go here to the FAQs on the tracking application, and they've got the NAICS codes here. You can also use your favorite search engine, whatever your preference is. And you can go to NAICS.org and pull up that. and use this to search for it. Whoops, I've lost my screen. 1 second. There we go. You can go to nakes.com, pull in a search for whatever you want. If you're in construction, type in construction, and it'll pull it up and it'll break down which your NAICS code is. You can look for your specific flavor of construction, if it's industrial or multifamily housing or machinery manufacturing, etc. Stephen, about the state of Kentucky, no. This is a federal OSHA record keeping requirement for the ITA. So all states have to adopt the legislation that they pass. So this is for everybody. Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, all of us. Hey, Stephen. Yes. So for the establishment level, it's each individual location, not the entire company. So think about like if you had a large medical system in your area, they may have a hospital and they may have like doctor's offices and urgent care. So they may have a different NAICS code for each of those. So each unique, separate establishment, you would have to look at that NAICS code and compare it to the lists to see what is and is not applicable. And Milton, about your NAICS code question, um, if you pull up the NAICS codes, depending on what your business does, you would do a search for it and determine which code best correlates to your industry. And then that would be your assigned code. Okay, David, let me see what we got here. You have 22 employees at a trash company. Do we still have to do an illness report? Well, but do you know the NAICS of your trash company by chance? Because depending on which, okay, that's okay. Well, depending on where you fall in with waste for what type of trash you're talking about, if it's like hazardous waste or solid waste, you would need to find the appropriate NAICS code and then go back through those bullets and check to see what is applicable to you. So if you're solid waste landfill here, for example, if this is your NAICS code, we can go back over here, look to see if that is exempted. Let me hide this. So if it's 5622, 5622 is not partially exempt, and you have more than 19 employees, I'm assuming that's one physical establishment. So then yes, the ITA would be applicable to you potentially in that circumstance. Once we verify, if you're on the other list, not that list. So Appendix A to Subpart E, let's see if your waste NAICS is on here. So 5622. So this is the non-mandatory Appendix A to Subpart B. 5, 6. Oh, that's partially exempt. Appendix B. Where's the other one? There's the other one. Here's the appendix I was looking for. 5, 6. I said 5622, right? 5622, 5622. So because you are on Appendix A to Subpart E right here, and you have between 20 and 249 employees, you do have to submit via the ITA. All right, Sherry. If you have branches at locations all over the US and they're all under the same NAICS and FEIN, we only do the report if each branch has over 20 employees in said branch, not group all branches together. If by branch you mean unique individual establishment, then yes, you would treat each one as its own and apply this standard to it like we went through in the training. And if you have fewer than 19 employees, you shouldn't have to submit anything. And David, 5621 is your code. All right. So 5621 is also on the list for Appendix A to Subpart E. So if you have over 20 and less than 249, since that NAICS code is on this list, you would have to submit via the ITA. If anybody has anything else, feel free to type it in. We're going to hang out for a few more minutes and answer any questions. And again, feel free to visit our website because you can request additional training and technical assistance, especially when it comes to record keeping and the full standard, as well as other things. And it's all free, all confidential. So hit us up and we're happy to help you find answers to all of your questions. All right, David, and I apologize to you. You also submitted a second part to your question that says, also with an illness report, if someone is off work and comes with a script, but does not let the employer know that they should not operate machinery, how are we supposed to report that due to HIPAA? Not sure what your question is exactly asking, but if you're saying that an employee missed time away from work and was issued a prescription, is it a work-related illness or not a work-related illness? Because that matters when it comes to OSHA record keeping stuff. So we would need a little bit more information in order to appropriately answer that question. Hey, Randy, you posted, if a work-related inpatient, hospitalization, amputation, or loss of an eye occurred while driving a motor vehicle accident, why does OSHA only require employers to report motor vehicle accidents if they occur in a construction work zone? If any employee in the state of Kentucky has a hospitalization, amputation, or loss of an eye, the employer is obligated to report that to our Division of Compliance within 72 hours of becoming aware of that knowledge. Period. If it's work related and those three things happen, you have a 72-hour timer that starts once you, the employer, become aware of it. I'm not sure about your second part where it says OSHA only requires employees to report motor vehicle accidents if they occur in a construction work zone. I'm unfamiliar with that. David, on yours, you would just have to apply the normal record keeping standard in that circumstance. So if an employee gets sick, you have to have work relatedness. If there is work relatedness and they go to the doctor and they are issued a prescription that qualifies and they're not giving you that information, try to have a conversation with the employee. If it's via your workers' compensation, maybe they can get that information for you. But that would just be something that you would have to make a determination on. Tamara, yes, there is a time frame on the reporting. So that is right here. So beginning January 6th, it'll be open for submission. And then on March 2nd, all the submissions have to be completed. All right, everybody. I believe that we went through and addressed all the questions in chat. Again, thank you for attending the training. I will pop up the website here again if you guys want to scribble it down. If you have any other questions or anything that we can help you with, reach out to us anytime. We're here for you to support you. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and have a wonderful day.